Sure. On the YouTube.
Try that. All right, cool. And we are good to go.
Cool.
All right.
Great. The first thing I want to say is the holidays are stressful.
Holidays are stressful. Yeah, it's yeah, everyone knows we stream typically on Tuesdays. We're streaming on Wednesday this week, and we're keeping it short this week. Just a quick review of the week and getting ready for the holidays here. What week 11 it just was. Got
Yep, week 11.
got,
We're almost there, man. Second half.
got games coming up tomorrow. We got game on Friday, a Black Friday game. This is getting out of
Which
hand.
I completely forgot about until literally, I'm not even kidding, like 5 minutes before we started, I saw the blurb come through, like an ad from with it's Dolphins Jets. I'm like, wow.
Dolphins Jets, yeah.
Yeah, like, yeah.
Which I'm sure they were super excited to have that game when Aaron Rodgers is healthy, and now they're kind of like,
Man,
yeah, all right, all right.
so many of these Jets matchups that they've put in like prime time, like that was all Aaron Rodgers. Like
Yeah,
they really were banking on Aaron Rodgers to just be like lights out this year for some reason. Because if you look like what weren't they just what that 3:30 game last week, that Bills Jets, that was last week,
yeah,
right?
that was like America's
Yeah,
game of the week or whatever.
yeah, America's Game of the Week, yeah, something like that. Yeah, you know they scheduled that way because they thought Aaron was going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like every Jets matchup this year has been just a bust.
Well, and
Like it's just been embarrassing.
it's but considering how primetime games scheduling has been this year, I'd
Yeah.
honestly not much a surprise. It's almost in the writing, right? Like, man,
Somehow.
they've put on some better games than they were the ones who beat the Eagles, right?
They did beat the Eagles,
It's
yeah.
it's like they're the only Eagles lost. So, but of course that was like a noon game. So go
Yeah, it
figure.
was.
You're
Yeah.
one one good Jets game, and it's that's what happens.
Yeah, and somehow the Broncos keep getting them prime time too.
Shoot,
Like, what is this?
yeah, the Broncos starting to. I'm not going to say starting to turn it around quite yet, but by any means. But they're I was looking at some of their games and
They've been winning.
they've been doing a lot
They-
better. So
They've been winning. Yeah. I can't um say much. I mean, I mean, we still got a long season to go. I still don't believe in them, but
right.
I almost think it's impossible for teams to be that bad for that long and have so many of them. Like we
Hmm.
like because there's a ton of mediocre teams in in the league, and they can't all go winless. You know what I'm
Right. Right.
saying?
Yeah.
Like I
What?
think only one time that's ever happened, right? Or maybe it was twice. I know what the Detroit Lions, right, went
Hmm.
0-16.
Yep.
Was there a team before that? Was it the Buccaneers? I think back in the '70s, or maybe I remember it's like seeing that the Buccaneers were another team where they were pretty terrible. I should look it up, but
Yeah. I'm gonna
uh,
let's see the Cleveland Browns in 2017, the 2008 Detroit Lions, and the 1976 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Look at you. You even got
okay,
the
yeah,
decade. Yeah. Look at that.
okay,
Man.
yeah,
But
those are
it
the ones.
looks like that's it, pretty
Yeah,
much.
yeah. So that doesn't happen often, and usually it's only a couple teams like that. So like the fact that this year you got the Bears, the Broncos, the Jets, the Panthers, like there's just so many bad teams. It's like, okay, some of y'all have to win.
Mhm. Somebody's got to accidentally win. We can't have all
Yeah,
draws. We can't have all this. I,
yeah.
it's like and something I've been thinking a little bit more recently, though, and especially after our game, but some of the other games that have happened this year. It, yes, some of these teams have terribly, truly terrible, terrible offenses, but how much is it to just the increase in defensive play we've seen? Because statistically, this has been one of the best defensive years across the NFL in quite a long
Right.
while.
And
So,
isn't it so surprising with how hyped up offenses have been
mhm.
in this era? Like you thought defense was done, especially with all the rules in place that kind of hampered the defense a little bit. That
Right.
if you will. So yeah, no, it's been a very defensive year, and in some cases, it's been great to see. Others, it's been kind of not exciting, but it just kind of
Right.
depends on the matchup and how that particular offense they were facing was to begin with, too. So
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of stuff going on.
I mean, it's crazy that we're saying this in a year where a team put 70 points on the board, but that's like been it, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It seems like everything else has been, of course, here and there you get the occasional one, but every year is going to have those. So overall, it's definitely been heavy on the defensive front, which can be fun until it's the Chiefs. um,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
let's I guess dive into it first and foremost. Skipping it because I forgot about it. The warm up today, best sports photo. That it, loose definition here. It can be whatever you want it to be. Is it an iconic photo? Is it just one personally? All that kind of stuff. I'm gonna throw it to you first
Sure.
because of the one you sent, and then I call out the elephant in the room. And unable to show up today, and we did not get a photo from her, so I put in two because I'm
Sure.
selfish.
Okay. Cool. Well, yeah, and I best photo of all time. There's so many. There's so many I really enjoy. That I don't even know if you will put them. It just I guess depends on how you even describe that. Like best, most iconic photo of all time. Like a lot of people would say something like the shot, right? Or the last
Mm-hmm.
shot for Jordan, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, like there's a lot of those that um you could choose from. Some that I have personally that I really enjoy that maybe not don't make that list. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like for example, one of them that I really love is in my sports media room. I've got this photo of Frank Clark where he had sacked Tom Brady. He's just like sitting over top of him.
Oh,
It's
nice,
just like just
nice.
staring him
Yeah.
down, and I'm like it is just a epic photo, just looking like a badass. But obviously, that's not like a all time. That's
Right.
not on anyone's like all time list.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a meaningful one to you. It's not necessarily like a great photo artistically, politically, whatever the case may be.
yeah, yeah. But all that to say, the one I did choose for this particular warm up, I would probably put it on both of those lists. I would put it on probably an iconic photo list and personal favorite list. LeBron James passing the all-time leading scorer record over Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt.
Kareem
Kareem
Hunt,
Abdul-Jabbar.
man, Kareem Hunt
Kareem,
doing good work over
yeah,
there, man.
Kareem
I didn't know that's
Abdul-Jabbar.
what this photo was from, so that's awesome.
Yeah. So that's the shot that got him the all-time leading scoring record.
It's crazy.
So yeah, it just kind of been cool to watch. Like this, I mean, this is not a basketball podcast, and we don't have to debate like who's the GOAT or nothing like that. But like, obviously, there's the heated debate of the GOAT between Jordan and LeBron,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to last for a long time until Victor Wembanyama beats them both. Uh,
God, that
but
dude, yeah.
yeah, but I would say that it was just one of those moments that just adds another notch to that conversation because he's showing his greatness in a different way, and just being alive to kind of see this moment, it was pretty cool,
Uh,
like
yeah. I
so, and
mean,
then most people will forget that this game I'm telling you, I mean, it happened like what, last year or whatever.
mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, as time goes on, most people are going to forget that they lost that game. Like it's
Right.
just a moment that everyone was there for, and like they stopped the game. Like he's taking a bow. He's taking a salute to. He's saluting to Kareem,
Yeah,
who's
Kareem
there.
was there.
It was
Yeah.
just a cool moment. Yeah. So that's the one I chose for this.
Well, and like Kareem's record looked like it was going to last forever because just
Right.
no. I mean, he had his little sky hook that was automatic. No one could beat him.
Exactly.
He was arguably he's probably the most dominant player ever in the NBA
Uh,
from a physical
there's
standpoint.
there's a legit argument that I don't think people want to have that he's the goat, or
The
at least
greatest.
one
Yeah.
of them.
I
Yeah, like like when it comes to this GOAT conversation, really what it comes down to is you got to go by the era. I think that's the
mm-hmm.
only way to
Yeah,
fairly do it.
decades.
Because
Do it by
there's
decades. Yeah.
there's an argument for him too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, you're right. Like his just dominance, like with something like that, that was just the crowning jewel of all his accomplishments, and it
Right.
was just one you thought was never going to, at least in for a while, go down. And it did take what, like 30 something years,
Mm-hmm.
but that's shorter than we probably would have expected.
Yeah. And it just speaks to LeBron's ability as an athlete. I mean, because Jordan couldn't touch it, right? And LeBron was able to get in there, has the longevity, has the ability to play. People trash talk NBA players for sitting games and all this kind of stuff. And yet still, here's this
Right,
dude. Yeah, who does it?
right.
So, no, awesome
Yeah.
photo. Great.
Sitting
It's,
games were or not, you still, it's still hard as hell to become the all-time leading
mm-hmm,
scorer in a league, you know.
mm-hmm.
So
No, I mean, yeah, and the more and more I learn about LeBron, the more and more I start to side on he's the greatest versus Jordan. Because I've always been a Jordan guy, but that's just because the
yeah,
90s were when I paid attention to the NBA. So,
yeah,
no, it's.
yeah.
Although.
I love Jordan. Yeah,
Mm.
go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, this isn't even my favorite LeBron James photo because the one I love to talk about is the one with him and Dwayne Wade when they were down at the Heat.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I love that one.
and
That
yeah,
that's a good one.
if I was going to get something up, yeah, as in like a sports room or something, that would probably be one of my basketball photos.
Yeah, that one's going. Yeah, and then as far as like the go thing, I think all I would say on it is I just think there's an argument. Like
Mm,
if you want to tell me, if you want to tell me Jordan to go right now, then yeah, I mean I won't fault you. But there's stuff like that LeBron has done like this that puts him in legitimate conversation outside just the championships to me.
right.
So
Yeah. No, you're not wrong whatsoever.
yep. And I think the same conversation is going to happen when Mahomes gets there, right? Because do we really think Mahomes is going to get 7 rings? He might, but it's going to be really, really tough.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be really tough. It just, things have to go your way, like receivers that can catch the ball. So, so there's a chance, you know. I mean, he'll probably win a few more Super Bowls. Do we think he's really gonna? Do we think he's gonna win 7? Maybe, but
Maybe.
once his career is done, are we gonna put him in that GOAT conversation, or are we gonna try to keep him out just because of the rings?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. Well, hey, if we want to talk about goats in their sport, I'll go with my first photo here. And I don't know if you're watching the
sure.
stream yet or not, but it's the photo of Ali standing over Sonny Liston in his
Yep.
first fight to
Iconic.
yeah to get that belt. I think this was the one that gave him the title, which he held for years and years and years. But yeah, growing up, we did a biography project. I think in elementary school it was, and I just randomly got Muhammad Ali out of a hat and did a whole project on him, and just absolutely fell in love with the dude. A fantastic
Yeah.
athlete, huge activism
Yep.
standpoint. It's of course he lost the title because of that. He was a conscientious objector, and the whole fight over can you be a conscientious objector when you're also a boxer, and refusing to be drafted for Vietnam. All the great stuff
Yep.
there, but I know there's arguments left, right, and center about who's the goat of boxing, and just kind of like with the NBA, I think you also said when it comes to boxing, you have to do it by weight class. You can't like Floyd Mayweather is obviously an absolutely fantastic boxer, but you put him and Muhammad Ali in a ring together, that'd be an interesting fight. That's for sure.
Times, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah. That's definitely yeah. It's like you said, weight class and generations. It's a
Hmm.
generational conversation because the way Floyd did it was way different than how Ali and like Tyson did
Hmm.
it. You know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
absolutely.
And then of course for me, I think just the greatest quote ever by an athlete is, his float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Uh, the hands can't hit what the eyes can't see. It's what it's just such a great iconic line. As I'm so mean, I make medicine sick. Like, I mean, he dropped bombs, dude, and it was a lot of fun. So I always said I never got a chance to see him fight live, but I did actually get a chance to meet him when I was a very tiny child, and he was about a couple decades into his Parkinson's. So that's
Oh wow.
yeah.
Oh,
My dad did his residency in Louisville, and that's where he lived at the end of his
okay.
life, and so We happened to go to some event at Churchill Downs. It wasn't like the Kentucky Derby or anything like that, and he was there. So
Sure.
yeah,
Hey, that's dope as hell.
but it's I was very very small and don't really remember it. So, but it
Yeah.
was pretty cool. And then I got to bring soccer into it.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
so I got to bring soccer into it. But the 1999 World Cup final, Brandy Chastain sliding, celebrating her scoring of the final penalty kick, which won America the second World Cup that they've won in soccer. First nation to win two. Um, I think it was, up until this most recent World Cup this year is the most watched World Cup.
Yeah.
Most viewed, highest attended, 90,000 some odd at the Rose Bowl there in California. Just a great iconic moment. And then, of course, her celebration, ripping her shirt off on a globally broadcasted event.
Sure.
Never been done before by a woman, and it's just like really changed how women's sports was talked about. So, um,
Sure.
really cool. Had to bring that one in.
Absolutely. Those are some good choices, man. Yeah, absolutely. I've definitely seen both of these before. And yeah, you're right. They definitely belong in those conversations, like iconic,
Mm-hmm.
favorite, like there's memories tied to it. Yeah, absolutely.
And
Yeah, this is good.
yeah, and I mean, this is one of those ones we could do a whole podcast on. I feel, so.
Sure. I was gonna say
Um,
there's more. Like intentionally. I know it's a Chiefs podcast, but I intentionally kind of avoided like some of my other ones, like from the Super Bowl
mhm.
54, like Mahomes flexing toward the crowd after the touchdown, like stuff like that. I avoided that just because I feel like it's kind of the obvious pick
Right,
on this type of show. So, but yeah, there's something we could talk about all day. But we got to talk about Monday night, man.
dude. All right. So I did some work. I did some legwork because I do
Sure.
owe an apology. I was wrong. Our receivers suck. I had said in a previous podcast, it's like I'm not blaming them all the way. I'm not doing this, and that. I was not totally correct with that, and I will fully acknowledge that now after this game. I don't think it's just the drop passes that are a problem.
It's
Personally,
not.
I mean, there was a moment. I forgot who it was. I think it was Watson. Was supposed to be just doing a straight fly route, out route, sprinting towards the end zone, and he just didn't run it. And Mahomes was expecting him to run it, and
Yeah.
the ball fell dead for a reason.
Right.
Um, it was, I think it was just like the drop passes in combination with all the other glaring errors they were making now make me realize like, okay, yeah, the drop passes are also really bad too. Man, what a terrible game. I did look up some stats because I was curious.
Sure.
That's just what I like to do. So first I looked at 2022 NFL stats for drop passes in the league. I was kind of curious where the Chiefs fell, since really the big change in our wide receivers was a lack of Juju. Last year we were a top 10 team still with drop passes. We dropped 34 passes on the year, which we're butting up against almost right now, but still, quite a bit of drop passes. The highest team was the Packers. I think that was pretty well documented too last year. I think we even talked about it. They had 41 drop passes, so we were only 7 off the leader in this whole thing. So it's definitely an issue last year. It definitely didn't feel as impactful last year. Could be any number of reasons why. I have a couple of thoughts on that. But then I also looked at
Say winning a Super Bowl helps.
no, winning a Super Bowl helps you forget a lot of things, doesn't it? Yeah. But something else
Sure.
that's kind of curious for me. So right now, actually, we technically don't lead the league right now in dropped passes. After Week 11 finished, the Cleveland Browns surpassed us. No big surprise considering they're
Interesting.
playing with their third string quarterback, but case may be. They're at 26. We're at 25. I think no doubt we'll probably go past them again.
And it's funny because they've scored more points than us this season too.
Right. Yeah, well, the thing a lot of people have the way we're going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but something else to keep an eye on, though, the metrics looking at this here, there's also a measurement of bad throws and then on target throws, too, right? So when it comes to bad throws
Sure.
themselves, oh, sorry.
No, I said sure.
Yeah. Bad throws themselves were actually towards the bottom of the league. Percentage wise, were actually the lowest. Number wise, we're third lowest. 39 bad throws of all the attempts Mahomes has made. But the one that was really curious to me was on target issues. If we looked at on target passes, we're right in the middle of the league right now. Whereas in
Mm,
past years, that wasn't the case. We were always,
sure,
top three, top four under Mahomes. So
sure.
it's I still stand behind my statement where it's not just the receivers. There's something going
Yeah,
on with Mahomes. We don't know what it is. Who knows? It
sure.
different, we got a different offensive coordinator. We got a whole different bunch of other stuff going on. So I do still caution that. And then on target percentage, yeah, we're fifth worst in the league.
Yeah,
Only 71% of Mahomes' passes are actually on target.
sure.
And then and I think that's what makes the drop passes feel more impactful, because when he finally gets one on target and then it gets dropped, it's like, dude, come
Yeah.
on.
This is adding fuel to Tyreek Hill's fire
Honestly,
with that whole accuracy thing.
honestly, yeah. No, it's like now you start to kind of think, it's like, how much was the speed of Travis and Tyreek and the rest of the Legion of Zoom making up for slightly bad thrown passes, like
Yeah,
which is great, because like the thing that sets Mahomes apart from all the other quarterbacks is his ability to make something from nothing, and then when you
yeah,
combo that with receivers who are super fast and can make up for the slightly off target pass, that works great. We just don't have that right now.
yeah. I mean, he came in with a lot of Favre comparisons, like throwing
Hmm.
the rocket balls, something that's always been him. He's kind of it helped us in that first year under Alex Smith, because he kind of got a lot of that out of his system. But yeah, it's definitely still there. Like, it's definitely still there. And then, like you said, it helped having people who could compensate for it.
Hmm.
And right now we just don't have that. And then yeah, I mean, I 100% believe. I mean, I think it's not. It really is a team game. Yeah, like yeah, the guys are dropping balls, like, and it's just been so frustrating. But yeah, like you said, Mahomes hasn't always been on target. It is a brand new offensive coordinator. It's just not meshing the way that we thought it was going
Hmm.
to. Like, for a team who, we're not like in a rebuilding year or anything, but we just made a lot of rebuilding year moves, I guess, if you want to think of it that
Yeah.
way. And so it's just yeah, it's taking probably the time it would for a team like to do that. But we're in that Super Bowl window. The expectations is a repeat, basically. So
Hmm.
yeah, we're just not getting the time probably that we would need to develop. But there's tough titty, man. Like,
Right.
you're the Super Bowl reigning Super Bowl champs. Yeah, what y'all signed up
Right,
for. This is kind
yeah.
of
Well, this
yeah,
is this is what happens to every team that wins a Super Bowl: is a chunk
yeah,
of players go and get their bag, and they should.
yeah,
That's exactly what happened. A chunk of
sure.
coaches leave because they have an opportunity somewhere else, and that's what happened.
Yep,
And
yep.
what separates the good teams from the great team, or good dynasties from the great dynasties, are the ones that can just overcome that.
Yeah,
So you know, if we don't win back to back Super Bowls, will I be sad? Yeah. Of course, I won back to back Super Bowls. I'd love for Mahomes
sure.
to pass Brady in ring
Yeah,
count, but yeah, it's going to be tough. Especially, we're coming into the season with two new tackles protecting Mahomes. I think you can kind of see that sometimes,
yeah,
where the pass protection's not what we would always like. It's still ridiculously good, but it's the tackles getting beat. It's not the interior
yeah,
guys.
yeah. It's never the interior guys. Yeah, and yeah. He still gets plenty of time in the pocket
Hmm.
versus some other quarterbacks. But yeah, but there are times that when it collapses, you know exactly where to blame it.
Hmm.
And it's definitely frustrating that this is happening this year, because it really does feel like the AFC is opening up for us to go straight back. Like,
Hmm.
really, right now,
Yeah.
the biggest competition, I guess, would be the Baltimore Ravens. Right, is what everyone's thinking. The number,
Hmm.
who are now the number one overall seed. They'd be the toughest challenge. But other than that, the teams we thought was going to be in the conversation, We know the Bengals are not. The
They're
Bills,
done. Yeah.
I I'm not in. I'm out on the Bills at this point in the season. I know they
Mm-hmm.
just won and it wasn't dominant fashion, but it was against the Jets, who are a collapsing team who we also
Mm-hmm.
thought was going to be in the conversation. The Dolphins haven't beaten anybody with winning records. People are out on them. It's just a lot. It's a lot of wide openness like right
Right.
now that we we could take advantage of if we were gelling the way that we should, which we are on one side of the ball. We're just trying to figure it out on the other side. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not the side you would think.
Right. Right. Not in the least.
Yeah,
Um,
so
no, I think you're absolutely correct on that. So, it, I just hope we bounce back because we got this window of opportunity before apparently the Houston Texans come and take over the AFC because of the way CJ Stroud is freaking playing.
yeah,
That dude is
they're
something
coming.
else. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, like you said, it seems like a lot of the teams that were the consistent contenders against the Chiefs the past few years are all falling off. So we got this little window before the other teams come in to step up, and it just I don't know. I think the only thing that's reassuring me is the fact that the NFC feels weak too. So if we can slip into the Super
Yeah.
Bowl, um,
Yeah.
other than playing the Eagles, because they are probably the most complete team in football right now.
Sure, but even that game, if MVS makes that catch, we're not even having this conversation. Like we win that game,
Mm-hmm.
so it's like they're beatable too. Like there's no one just juggernaut team right now. Like they're probably the best team in football right now, but they haven't looked dominant. In fact, most of their wins are quite ugly. They just know how to win. They just have that toughness to get the job done. But I still think they can be beaten.
Well, and to that point, I think we sacked Jalen Hurts 5 times
Yeah,
in the first half alone.
yeah,
I mean, like, yeah, that's one of the things people talk about with the Eagles is their offensive line, and our defense got after them, no
yeah.
problem whatsoever. So, no, it'll be a lot of fun to see how this continues to go. So, all right,
Absolutely.
game moments itself. You talked about or you just mentioned there, MVS's drop ball. For me, the drop balls were bad. The two moments though that really defined the game for me as far as negativity actually came from who you would probably consider our two offensive leaders in Mahomes and in Kelsey, with both of them giving up turnovers in the red zone. Mahomes' throw that was an
Yeah,
interception was stupid. There was
yeah,
and that's what led me to look down like all these passing stats for things like bad throws, on targets, all that kind of stuff. That was just a bad throw. No excuse from somebody of his caliber. And then,
yeah. It was pretty much one of those rocket balls we were talking about.
yeah, well, it's like, so you think, say we go 3-and-out on that drive, right? And then Kelsey, who didn't protect the ball very well and gave up that fumble in the red zone too. Say that one goes 3-and-out, and we kick a field goal. We kick 2 field goals. Who Butker apparently hasn't missed this year, and therefore ending potentially my campaign of ban kickers in the NFL. If Butker scores 2 field goals there, we win the game.
Yeah,
It's turnovers cost us this game. The drop passes weren't great. Um, the thing for me is just like, we know the trade window's closed, and at this point it's
hmm
you have to find somebody to sign, right? If we need to go down that route. I think we're even talking
absolutely.
about like promoting what's his name, Richie or whatever, from the practice squad.
Reggie James. Yeah,
Yeah. But at this point, we know the receivers we have, so we have to find a way to win despite them. And the two guys we have to lean on to make that happen are making idiotic choices. So
yeah,
it's every week they say we got to figure out the red zone. They've been saying that since I think week 2, pretty much. Still waiting.
sure.
Let's go, guys.
Let's get it. Yeah,
Um,
you're right. You're right.
And then the other thing for me too is I need to look up exactly how the breakdown of this happened, but Jaco was on fire. The Eagles came
Yes, and
in,
then we went away from that.
yeah, the Eagles come in with the best run defense in the NFL, and Pacheco puts up no problem
Yeah.
runs against them, and then we stopped.
What are we doing?
Like, the reason we keep losing games is because our defense is on the field for so long. We just give up points because that's what happens when a defense stays on the field. And we were doing everything but giving Pacheco the rock to help keep us on the field. Like,
Yeah.
I don't. I meant to look it up earlier, but it really did feel like the bulk of his running came in the first half, and then we stopped. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
I don't know. Andy does not like to run.
it's
It just this
yeah,
man is just an old man stuck in his ways, man.
yeah,
He will not run this ball to save his life more or as much as he should.
right. It's I want to know the reasoning, because if there's a reasoning behind it, fine, but let me hear it, because I don't believe it. Whatever the
The
case may
one they
be.
keep giving on like the radio and stuff is like, they want to keep him. They want to keep all the guys good for the stretch run, but I'm just kind of like, guys, we're in the stretch run. Let's go ahead and let's win. We can't be risking losing games because we want to do that,
Yeah,
because then that defeats the purpose.
yeah, yeah. It is. Why are we bothered? Trying to do that when we can't win.
Yeah,
We're now 3 games in a row failing to score in the second half. Like,
absolutely. Yeah,
whatever they're doing at halftime to stop the run, because it feels like the past 3 weeks we've also been running really well in the first half. I remember it specifically against the Dolphins. We did really good. Definitely did really
yeah.
good against the Eagles. And then we come halftime, it's like, I mean, it doesn't feel like Pacheco's taking a vacation. I think he's ready to go if you give him the ball in the second half. But shoot.
He's hungry.
Um,
He is hungry.
I don't, and then the last thing, really for me on this, and I don't know how much you noticed it, but I saw it tweeted about, by a couple of individuals on, Twitter, or X, during the game. It feels like we sub out our wide receivers very frequently, so players aren't getting reps, especially our young ones. And that feels like it could be part of the issue. For me, it's Rashid
Yeah,
Rice is clearly our best receiver right now,
yeah, yeah,
in form, and he's barely getting snap counts. Like, what the heck?
yeah, yeah. He needs to be on the field the entire time. He's wide receiver one as far as I'm concerned at this point in the
Hmm.
season. And yeah, yeah. It seems like they're still trying to figure out what works. It's kind of like, guys,
It's like,
this is an off-season conversation.
all right.
This is not an in-season
It's
conversation.
like, man, figure it
But
out.
we know that Rasheed Rice does work. We've seen it enough of it this season to be like, okay, this is working. Put
Yeah,
this man out here. We know that MVS is not working. Maybe send him out a little bit more.
right.
Um, and I know, and I don't even want to harp on him so much for that drop pass is the reason why I don't think he's working. It's been everything leading up to that.
Right.
Like that's why. But yeah, we know Rasheed Rice is working. Um, they gave Justin Watson a lot of snaps, which is
They were feeding
interesting.
him. Yeah.
Yeah, they were feeding him the ball. So I don't know. Yeah, you're right. I mean, rotation, they haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah.
So
It just feels like, maybe like keep a couple of those guys on the field a little longer. Let them continue to get that game knowledge.
yes,
What everyone talks about with Kelsey is his ability to make something up in the middle of a play, and it works.
yeah,
And he does that great. And it's like, let some of the other guys learn how to do that. So,
it's so funny.
uh, man. And then the last shout out I really have to give is Kadarius Toney. Didn't really
Yeah,
catch the ball much, but man, he had some real good like jet sweeps and whatnot.
he
And
did.
then his punt
Yeah,
returns.
yeah. I was like, okay, all right, Kid, maybe
Yeah,
this is what you are. Maybe this is what you are. Maybe you're jet sweep guy this year. It was McCole the year before. Maybe that's you now. You're not wide receiver one. Rasheed Rice is wide receiver one, but you can be
right.
jet sweep guy. I'm good with
That's
that.
hey, you know what? It works
Yeah. So
because that's where he was putting
yeah,
up numbers.
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it'd be nice for you to be wide receiver too, but at this point in the season, it's like this is what you are.
All
This is what
right,
we
we
got.
gotta
All right,
adapt.
let's just run
No,
with it. All right.
gotta adapt.
Yeah.
All right.
But
So I know we're bumping up against the end of our time available here. Are there any games? I called out the Bills here, but we already even talked about that earlier. It's like, congratulations, you beat the Jets.
yeah.
Anyone else that's real surprise to you this past week?
That's what. I didn't really watch a whole lot of them. I did catch the Bills one, and I caught that Seattle Rams one. That was a pretty solid game. But other than that, I guess was the Broncos that they won
Broncos beat the
Sunday night football?
Vikings 21-20.
Maybe they
Yeah.
that was a surprise. Yeah, that was a surprise. I thought the Vikings would pull it out. So
Mm-hmm.
the Broncos, I didn't watch the entire game, but I did watch enough of it. Um yeah, the Broncos they're not back. I will never say that.
Right.
But as we said at the beginning of the pod, they're finding a way to get it done. I mean, it was inevitable, you know.
Right.
Like there's no way they could be this crappy forever. It
Yeah.
is surprising against the red hot Vikings.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So
It's shocking there. They're 5-5. Like the AFC West is won already by the Chiefs pretty much. Like we'd really have to drop
sure,
the ball. Maybe they can sneak into a playoff spot in a wild card, but now, like you said, it's probably a little too late. But there's no way Sean Payton and Russell Wilson combined would not find a way. So
right.
I think the surprising game for me this week was the Giants Commanders game. I've been pretty positive on the Commanders recently because it really feels like Sam Howell's been coming into his own. The skill positions have been firing. And then they go out and lose 31-19 to the Giants. Like, dude, come
Yeah,
on. The Giants are arguably the worst team in the NFL. um,
yeah.
you can't be doing that. So, uh, time will tell on the Eric Bieniemy revolution. And then lastly, Browns Steelers. Browns continue to find a way to do it. They're on their third string quarterback, like we said earlier, playing against the Steelers, who are continue to surprise me in how good they are, even though I have no reason to believe they're not good. I don't know what it is about the Steelers. I just can't comprehend them as a top tier team right now.
Because of
Uh,
the quarterback.
well, yeah, and they're out there 6-4 now. Browns 7-3 though, and looking good. So,
Yeah.
and then of course, like you said, yeah, the Ravens being the Ravens. So
Yeah, it must be interesting being a Steelers fan because like you guys are always in the conversation, even though you're not supposed to be.
yeah,
Like they've been having winning seasons. They've never had a losing season under Tomlin. Is that what stat is, or is
I,
it like
I
some
I
kind of
think it was
streak?
like yeah, the year he went 8-8 and still won the Super Bowl. It was like the only time he's been 500. Every other
That's
year, yeah.
wild. That is
It's
wild.
just yeah,
That is wild. But yeah, I don't think they're making a deep run, but they'll make the playoffs,
yeah,
and it's surprising. And hey, fun times in Steel Town, I guess. I don't, how do you, we don't? I don't know any Steelers fans. You would think I would because there's a lot of them. I see them all the time,
right.
like just out and about. It's one of those teams. Like you're going to see anywhere in America. You're going to see like a Packers fan. You're going to see Packers fans,
Packers,
Steelers fans,
Cowboys, and
Cowboys fans.
Steelers. Yeah,
Yeah, so for sure. But personally, I don't know any. I just want to know how they feel right now. Like, are y'all happy? Like, you know,
man.
like, are y'all
Yeah.
good with
How you
this?
feeling? How you feeling? So
Yeah. It
it's
feels like they're in their Alex Smith years. That's what
right.
it feels like.
They're
So
good enough. Yeah, exactly.
yeah, yeah.
Good enough. All right. Yeah, looking forward to this week. What the Chiefs play? Oh my God, who do we play this week?
Raiders.
Raiders. Oh, thank you.
Raider
I
week.
was like, I was just thinking about this.
It's Raider week.
In Las Vegas. I think instead of us signing off with scores this week because it feels like a gimme, and I don't want to jinx it too much.
Right.
Instead, let's hear what we're doing for Thanksgiving, and I don't know if you want to throw a score in. Might as well keep the tradition alive,
Uh,
but feels
I'm a. If you don't want to do scores, we can't. We don't do scores. I'll go ahead and say, yeah, my Thanksgiving plan is to eat food.
heck yeah,
It's
dude.
just, yeah, that's actually kind of part of the reason I shorten the show. There's still some ingredients I got to go pick up from the grocery store as we speak before they close.
The last
So I'm
minute
gonna
run.
definitely do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, we'll be kicking it, having some food. We got a bunch of stuff prepped up. All I need really is my sweet potato casserole, and I'm straight. And I'll probably watch the games tomorrow. I'm not super excited about the matchups, really. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. But yeah, that's about all I got. What do you got?
Yeah, doing grandma's house. Of course, shot out that miracle tweet, hope and beyond hope that Travis Kelsey replies. having
Yeah,
mentioned on his own podcast he has no Thanksgiving Day plans. So,
yeah.
also if you happen to listen to this, you're still more than welcome, Travis.
Hey, man.
Over at my
Cool.
grandma's, yeah, and I'm in charge of the turkey, so no pressure, of course. Started
There you
on
go.
it, yeah, yesterday with a little dry brine, so that should be fun. It turned out really good last year, so hopefully this year it'll still deliver and enjoying that. And yeah, like you said, I mean, none of these games. It may be the 49ers Seahawks game tomorrow, but even then,
Watch that one, but it depends on if
yeah.
Gino's not playing. I don't know if he's playing or not, like, or if it's Drew Lock.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I'll check that one out. I'll probably watch all of them. What am I saying?
All right.
I'm going to watch all of them. I know this. I'm just not hyped. I
You
guess.
yeah, it won't be the sitting on the couch leaning forward really into it watching. It'll be
Yeah,
it's Thanksgiving, it's on, what else is
yeah,
happening, you know?
yeah. I'll watch. Here's what I'll say. I'm likely to watch the Nickelodeon broadcast to at least add something.
Oh
Something
yeah,
to
yeah,
it.
yeah, there you go.
So,
The variations, absolutely. I love it.
but,
All right,
but
dude.
yeah,
Well, hey, good short one this week, and
we'll be
let you.
back to our normal
Yeah,
time length next week. And then yeah, we'll be able to discuss how the Raiders game went and where we go from there. Probably a dub, hopefully a dub. Let's see if the offense can get back on track.
absolutely. And until next Tuesday, go
All
Chiefs.
right, and then go
Oh
Chiefs,
yeah,
and Hung will be back too. Go
yeah,
Chiefs, baby.
yeah. We promise. The reason you tune in, she'll be here. Don't
Yeah,
worry. Don't worry.
exactly. She'll be here.
All
All right.
right, next week. See y'all.